Good afternoon and welcome to the 2018 International Conference of the Academy of Neuroscience for Architecture. I'm Frederick Marks, President-elect of ANFA and chair of this conference. Putting a conference of this type together takes a lot of work, as many of you know in doing other conferences. And there are many people to thank for their assistance on this one. If you look toward the back of your program booklet, after the contributed poster listings, you will find the ANFA Board of Directors and the volunteers noted. I want to call particular attention to the help I received from ANFA's Executive Administrator, Rosie Greenberg, who you may have already met during registration. And for those of you who still need to register, you'll also find a kind face and very helpful person. The board members, Betsy Doherty and Kurt Hunker, as well, should be recognized for their assistance in this program over many, many months. In addition, significant recognition needs to be given to the conference sponsors, who are noted in the booklet and on the screen behind me. Please don't fail to spend time visiting with representatives of both Lutron and Calwall, and I have observed that you're already beginning to do that, so I appreciate that interaction. And also learn something about what the new School of Architecture plus Design from San Diego has been doing to its curriculum to introduce neuroscience to its students. Very interesting program during the course of the year with a special program that takes place each summer. I also want to extend my thanks to all of you in the audience for attending this conference and, in many cases, contributing to the content that we will be hearing over the next 2.5 days. This conference has exceeded the total attendance for 2016, and this new number is nearly double what ANFA experienced in its first conference in 2012. That says a lot about where research falls within the architectural practice today. Research that is empirical and considers the scientific method. Research in cognitive science that helps designers be more aware of evidence that impacts health and well-being of building occupants. ANFA is celebrating its 15th anniversary this year. During the organization's humble beginnings, there was some question as to whether scientists and designers could have a meaningful interface. We have more than proved that that is the case. As translation of scientific studies on the brain, mind, and body associated with the built environment become available, this relationship will only grow stronger. A trend already exists where architects are collaborating with scientists on studies that are being conducted within academia as well as private practice. And thanks to the postdocs, the technicians, and the PIs who are with us today from Salk and elsewhere for taking an interest in this new frontier. If you've not had a chance to read through the entire conference program, there is a full schedule of talks, poster presentations, and panel sessions. ANFA, following its tradition, will have you experience all of this content as one group. The format is slightly different in other cases, however. We are devoting more time to hearing the poster authors and will make posters from past sessions available for your viewing throughout the conference. To add some drama to this exercise, there will be a prize given out for the best poster under each conference subject designation. I'll spare you the details until later in the conference. In addition, the program will include an activity called Table Talks. on Saturday afternoon, where you will be given a chance to express your feelings about the presentations that you have heard here, and where you think the commingling of science and architecture is going in the future. This year's conference theme is Shared Behavioral Outcomes. Its purpose is to set the stage for considering what we study in one field or about one building type may have implications for knowledge in another. You will be the judge as to how relevant that is right now, but I ask that you keep an open eye for the potential. Finally, some housekeeping items. Keep your program booklets with you at all times while you are on the Salk Institute campus. It is also suggested that you may write your first name on the book itself to help with meeting a new friend and colleague. Don't forget to sign the forms for architectural continuing education credits that will be available each day for each AIA-approved learning unit session. They are out on the registration desks. I think some of you have already taken advantage of signing up. Explore the ANFA website for information about past conferences, workshops, interfaces, lectures, and databases. We have updated the website this year and hope that it is a user-friendly medium by which you can discover old things and new things. And most of all, just enjoy yourself. And with that, I'd like to introduce Eduardo Mechag from UCSD, who will talk to you about the rest of the program today. Thank you.
You may notice that we try to balance. So I'm a neuroscientist, and of course, Fred is an architect. So we'll try to do a kind of a two-step so that no one gets a feeling that they're selected. I mean, fields. Anyway, welcome. Wanted to say a couple of words about the name of this session. What we measure and what does it mean? Because I think that as we interface more and more between the two fields, what the neuroscientists are bringing to the interaction is a lot of technological know-how for measurement. And so, you know, if you listen to, and you will listen to neuroscientists in a few minutes, they'll tell you about what they can measure with EEG or GSR or, you know, some mixture of letters. And your question should always be, but what does it mean? Right? Because if we're listening to what the brain is saying, it's very complicated. And the brain is just part of our nervous system, right? The brain is also giving signals to your body. Right? So you might feel some stress, your heart rate goes up, or you might feel calm and your heart rate goes down. It's, you know, it's something that we have to keep in mind, that the when we talk about neuroscience, we're talking about many fields, really, from psychology and cog sci to what is going on with neurons. So it's a whole range. There are a lot of fields, and if you ask a person who is a psychologist, what does it mean? Or you ask, you know, a cognitive scientist, or you ask a person that works with neurons, what does this signal mean? The answer may be significantly different. Now, the interesting interaction that we're looking at, which is the human space, you know, our environment, what we're looking at really is how we respond, can be measured in many different ways. Okay, and we use many different technologies. And we'll have a demo this afternoon from a group that I work with on multimodal biosensors, portable, et cetera, you'll see that we can actually collect a lot of information. And I think where we have to go is to collect a lot of information simultaneously in order to interpret any one of the signals. Unless, of course, we do an experiment in a laboratory with VR or something where we have more control, but we want to know what behavior is like in the real world. And to really assess what's going on, what we need to measure is complicated, it's connected, there are a lot of synchronous things going on, and we can't control all of them. Okay, so I think the conversation this afternoon begins with what can we measure, but really, what does it mean? And how do we know that it's X and not Y? Okay, so a slight change. One of our speakers today, Stefano Andreani, was not able to come. So one of our colleagues, David Kirsch, graciously, or maybe because I twisted his arm, is going to give a presentation and will take his place also in our later panel. I have asked the speakers to stay within a frame of time, 20 minutes max for anybody. So if you have some questions about what they just said, please ask them, unless I say they're out of time. But during the panel, save your questions. We'll have time to answer questions and have a fuller discussion after the posters. The demo is going to occur during the poster session and hopefully will not disturb it too much. You'll know when it's going on because a lot of information will appear on a screen. Okay, so 1:20. So I'm doing pretty well. Just to reiterate, what happened was we did not realize that we should have open registration at 7 in the morning as opposed to noon. And so a lot of you have not had the time to register. You can do that during the poster presentation. Okay, so don't feel like you're going to be left out. And as Fred said, in order to go walking around the salt, you're going to have these things around your neck. I don't know what happens if you don't, but you know, it's good. Okay, so we're going to start this session with Dr. Giovanni Ducato, who is in the Department of Physiology and Pharmacology at La Sapienza, which is a university in Rome. And he's truly a neuroscientist, but he was going to tell us a bit about neuroscience and architecture.